What if everything you've been told about morning routines is not just wrong, but actually keeping you trapped in cycles of guilt and inconsistency? In the next few minutes, I'm going to share something that might sound impossible at first, but by the end, you'll understand why struggling with mornings might actually be your greatest opportunity for transformation. The people who effortlessly command their mornings and flow through their days with unstoppable momentum know something that the rest of us are missing. It's not what you think, and it's definitely not what they teach in productivity courses. Stay with me, because this changes everything about how you approach not just your mornings, but your entire relationship with time, energy, and personal power. The morning trap. Have you ever noticed how the harder you try to create the perfect morning routine, the more elusive that sense of winning your day becomes? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on alarm clocks, productivity hacks, and trying to force ourselves into someone else's formula for success. Picture this familiar scene. Your alarm sounds at 5 in the morning. You've read about successful people who wake up early, meditate, exercise, journal, read, and accomplish more before breakfast than most people do all day. You've tried to replicate their routines dozens of times. The first few days feel promising. You drag yourself out of bed, go through the motions, and feel a temporary sense of accomplishment. But then reality hits. Your energy crashes. Your willpower depletes. You sleep through the alarm once, twice, and suddenly you're back to your old patterns, only now with an added layer of shame about your inability to stick to what should be simple. You tell yourself you lack discipline. You wonder if you're inherently lazy. You search for the next productivity system, the next motivational video, the next perfect morning routine that will finally be the one that sticks. But deep down, you know something isn't working. The harder you try to force morning excellence, the more chaotic your days become. I understand this struggle because I've lived it. That internal battle between knowing that mornings set the tone for everything that follows and feeling completely powerless to create the kind of morning that truly serves you. The frustration of watching others seem to effortlessly rise early and attack their days while you're hitting snooze and starting each day already behind, already apologizing to yourself for who you're not. Here's what we've been missing about morning mastery. It's not about discipline or willpower or following someone else's perfect routine. It's not about forcing yourself into a schedule that fights against your natural rhythms. Winning the morning is about understanding the deeper architecture of energy, intention, and natural flow that makes everything else possible. Think of most morning advice like trying to plant tropical flowers in Arctic soil. No matter how perfect the flowers are, no matter how much effort you put into planting them, they won't thrive because the environment isn't right. We've been trying to transplant other people's morning routines into our lives without creating the inner and outer conditions that make those routines sustainable and energizing rather than depleting.
The real breakthrough comes when you understand that your resistance to morning routines isn't weakness. It's intelligence. Your body and psyche are rejecting approaches that don't align with your authentic needs, your natural energy patterns, and your deeper purpose. When you learn to listen to this wisdom instead of overriding it, everything shifts. What if your struggles with mornings have been trying to teach you something essential about how you're designed to show up in the world? What if the key to winning your day isn't about conquering the morning, but about creating a morning that naturally aligns with and amplifies who you're becoming? The wisdom of natural rhythm. Let me tell you about David, a software engineer who spent years trying to become a morning person. He read every book, tried every routine, set multiple alarms, and even hired a morning accountability coach. Despite his best efforts, he consistently found himself exhausted, irritable, and less productive on the days when he forced himself to wake up early. Everything changed when David stopped fighting against his natural rhythm and started designing his morning around it. Instead of forcing himself to wake up at 5 a.m., he experimented with waking up just 30 minutes earlier than usual. Instead of cramming meditation, exercise, and journaling into a rushed hour, he chose one practice that genuinely energized them: a simple walk around his neighborhood while listening to podcasts that inspired him. The transformation was remarkable. Within weeks, David found himself naturally waking up earlier, not from discipline, but from genuine excitement about his morning walk. His energy throughout the day improved. His work performance increased. Most importantly, he developed a sense of ownership over his mornings that extended into every other area of his life. This reveals something profound about human nature. We thrive when we work with our design rather than against it. David's breakthrough came not from adopting someone else's formula, but from understanding his own energy patterns and creating a morning approach that honored both his authentic needs and his growth aspirations. Here's what transforms everything about morning mastery. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more authentically yourself, but with intention and direction. The most powerful mornings aren't built on discipline, they're built on alignment between your natural rhythms, your deepest values, and your daily actions. While most people try to force themselves into rigid morning routines that require constant willpower to maintain, true morning mastery comes from creating what I call gravitational practices. Simple, sustainable actions that naturally pull you toward your best self rather than requiring you to push against your resistance. Like a river that carves the Grand Canyon not through force, but through consistent, patient flow in alignment with the landscape, winning mornings are created through understanding and working with your natural patterns rather than fighting against them. When you align your morning practices with your authentic energy and genuine priorities, something beautiful happens. The morning stops being something you have to conquer and becomes something that naturally serves your highest expression.
The 4 foundations. The path from chaotic mornings to consistent morning mastery isn't built through rigid discipline. It emerges through understanding and applying 4 foundational principles that create sustainable transformation from the inside out. Foundation 1. Energy awareness. Most morning advice completely ignores the fundamental reality that different people have different natural energy patterns. Some people genuinely have more creative and physical energy in the early hours. Others are naturally night owls whose brains don't fully come online until later in the day. Trying to force a night owl into an extreme early rising routine is like asking a cactus to thrive in a rainforest. True energy awareness means developing the ability to recognize and honor your authentic energy rhythms while gradually expanding your capacity. This isn't about accepting limitations, it's about working intelligently with your design to create sustainable growth. Start by paying attention to your natural energy patterns for a week without trying to change anything. Notice when you feel most alert, most creative, most motivated. Notice how different activities affect your energy levels. Notice how much sleep you actually need to feel genuinely rested, not just functional. This awareness allows you to design morning practices that work with your energy rather than against it. If you're naturally a night owl, maybe winning your morning means waking up just 15 minutes earlier and spending that time doing something that genuinely energizes you rather than forcing yourself into an hour-long routine that leaves you drained. Energy awareness also means understanding the difference between tiredness that comes from genuine fatigue and tiredness that comes from resistance or lack of purpose. Sometimes what we interpret as not being a morning person is actually our psyche's way of protecting us from starting days that don't align with our authentic values and aspirations. The goal isn't to eliminate your natural rhythm, it's to optimize within it. A night owl who understands their energy pattern can create a powerful morning routine that honors their natural pace while still setting a strong foundation for the day. An early bird can learn to use their natural morning energy for their most important work rather than squandering it on busy work. Foundation 2. Intentional design. Most people approach mornings reactively, waking up and responding to whatever feels most urgent or appealing in the moment.
This reactive approach creates inconsistency and makes it nearly impossible to build momentum toward your most important goals. Intentional design means creating a morning structure that serves your highest priorities rather than just your immediate impulses. This doesn't mean rigid scheduling. It means thoughtful preparation that makes your ideal morning more likely to happen naturally. The key is designing your morning the night before, when your decision-making energy is stronger, and you're not fighting against the grogginess of just waking up. Before you go to sleep, take a few minutes to set up your physical environment and clarify your intentions for the following morning. This might mean laying out workout clothes, preparing your coffee setup, or simply writing down one clear intention for how you want to feel and what you want to accomplish in your morning time. Small preparations remove friction and decision fatigue, making it easier to follow through on your intentions when willpower is naturally lower.
Intentional design also involves understanding the difference between goals and systems. Instead of setting a goal to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, you create a system that makes earlier rising feel natural and sustainable. Instead of forcing yourself to meditate for an hour, you design a simple mindfulness practice that fits seamlessly into your existing routine. The most powerful morning designs are simple, flexible, and aligned with your authentic priorities. They create structure without rigidity, allowing you to maintain consistency while adapting to the natural variations in energy, schedule, and life circumstances that make perfectly identical mornings unrealistic and unnecessary. Foundation 3. Progressive cultivation. One of the biggest mistakes people make with morning routines is trying to implement massive changes all at once. They go from chaos to attempting a 2-hour morning routine overnight, then wonder why they can't maintain it. Sustainable transformation happens through what I call progressive cultivation. Small, consistent improvements that compound over time. Progressive cultivation means starting with changes so small they feel almost insignificant, then gradually building on that foundation as new habits become natural. If you currently struggle to get out of bed on time, don't start with a complex routine. Start with simply placing your feet on the floor immediately when the alarm sounds, without trying to add anything else. This approach works because it builds what psychologists call self-efficacy. Your confidence in your ability to follow through on commitments to yourself. Each small success creates evidence that you can change, which makes larger changes feel more possible and natural. The key is focusing on consistency over intensity. It's better to do a simple 5-minute morning practice consistently for a month than to attempt a perfect hour-long routine that you abandon after a week. Consistency creates the foundation for complexity. Complexity without consistency creates frustration and abandonment. Progressive cultivation also means understanding that setbacks aren't failures, they're information. When you miss a morning or struggle to maintain a practice, instead of giving up entirely, you adjust and continue. Maybe you realize you need more sleep, or your routine needs to be simpler, or you need to prepare differently the night before. The goal isn't perfection, it's evolution. Each week, each month, you're gradually becoming someone who naturally shows up for themselves in the morning, not through force, but through patient, intelligent cultivation of sustainable practices that serve your growth and energy. Foundation 4. Purposeful expression. The deepest level of morning mastery comes from connecting your morning practices to something larger than just productivity or self-improvement. When your morning routine becomes a form of purposeful expression, a way of honoring your values, nurturing your growth, and preparing to serve your highest contribution, it stops feeling like work and starts feeling like worship. Purposeful expression means understanding why your morning matters beyond just getting things done. Maybe your morning quiet time isn't just about productivity, it's about creating space to connect with your deeper wisdom and intuition. Maybe your morning exercise isn't just about fitness, it's about cultivating the physical vitality that allows you to show up fully for the people you love.
This connection to purpose transforms everything about how you approach mornings. Instead of dragging yourself through routines because you should, You begin to genuinely look forward to morning practices because they help you become more aligned with who you're meant to be and what you're meant to contribute. Purposeful expression also involves connecting your morning practices to your longer-term vision for your life. If you want to write a book, maybe your morning includes time for writing or reading that feeds your creative soul. If you want to be more present with your family, maybe your morning includes practices that cultivate patience and emotional regulation. The most sustainable morning routines aren't just collections of healthy habits. They're expressions of your deeper values and aspirations. When your morning becomes a way of practicing who you want to become, consistency stops being about discipline and starts being about devotion to your own growth and contribution. The architecture of momentum. Understanding how to win the morning requires grasping the deeper principles of momentum, how small actions compound into powerful results, and how the energy you create in your first hours influences everything that follows. Momentum isn't just about productivity. It's about developing what I call directional energy, the sense that you're moving purposefully toward what matters most, rather than just reacting to whatever demands your attention. When you create this directional energy early in the day, it influences not just what you accomplish, but how you feel about yourself and your capacity to create positive change. The key insight is that momentum is more about internal state than external action. You can be incredibly busy and productive while still feeling scattered and unfocused. Or you can do relatively few things while feeling deeply aligned and purposeful. Winning the morning is about creating the internal conditions that make purposeful action feel natural and sustainable throughout the day. This is why the most powerful morning practices aren't necessarily the most elaborate or time-consuming. Sometimes a simple 10-minute practice that genuinely centers you and connects you to your priorities creates more momentum than an hour of activities that you're doing because you think you should. Consider the difference between momentum that comes from pushing and momentum that comes from flow. Pushing creates temporary results but depletes your energy over time. Flow creates sustainable progress because it works with your natural rhythms and authentic motivations rather than against them. Morning momentum built on flow feels energizing rather than exhausting. You wake up and engage in practices that genuinely nourish you and align you with your deepest priorities. Throughout the day, you find yourself naturally making choices that support your goals and values, not because you're forcing yourself, but because you've created internal conditions that make those choices feel obvious and appealing. The ripple effects of this kind of morning momentum extend far beyond productivity. When you consistently start your days with intentional, aligned action, you develop what psychologists call agency, the sense that you have genuine influence over your life circumstances and can create positive change through your choices. This growing sense of agency transforms how you approach challenges throughout the day. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by problems, you begin to see them as opportunities to practice the same principles that create morning success: awareness, intentionality, patience, and purposeful action. The psychology of fresh starts. There's something psychologically powerful about mornings that goes beyond just having more time or energy. Mornings represent fresh starts, new possibilities, and the chance to be intentional about who you're becoming rather than just reacting to who you've been. Research in behavioral psychology shows that people are more likely to make positive changes at temporal landmarks, the beginning of a new day, week, month, or year. Mornings tap into this fresh start effect, giving you daily opportunities to recommit to your highest priorities and most authentic aspirations. This is why morning practices are so much more than just habits or productivity techniques. They're opportunities to practice being the person you want to become. Each morning, you get to choose whether you'll start the day as someone who honors their commitments to themselves or someone who abandons them at the first sign of resistance. These choices compound over time in ways that extend far beyond the specific morning activities. When you consistently choose to show up for yourself in the morning, you develop what researchers call self-trust, confidence in your ability to follow through on commitments and create positive change in your life. This self-trust becomes the foundation for larger transformations. People who master their mornings often find it easier to stick to other positive changes, pursue ambitious goals, and navigate challenges with resilience and creativity. The morning becomes a daily practice ground for the psychological skills that create success in every area of life. Understanding this psychological dimension helps explain why some morning routines work and others don't. Routines that feel like punishment or that require you to override your authentic needs don't build self-trust. They build resentment and resistance. But routines that honor your genuine rhythms while gently stretching you toward growth create positive psychological momentum that influences everything else. The goal isn't just to have good mornings, it's to use mornings as a way of developing the internal resources, confidence, clarity, purpose, resilience that make everything else in your life more possible and enjoyable. Natural energy management. One of the most overlooked aspects of morning mastery is understanding how to work with your body's natural energy systems rather than against them. Your energy isn't just about sleep and caffeine. It's a complex system influenced by circadian rhythms, nutrition, movement, light exposure, and emotional state. Most people fight against their natural energy patterns instead of optimizing them. They try to force alertness through stimulants when their body needs gentle awakening. They rush through mornings when their nervous system needs time to transition from sleep to active engagement. They expose themselves to bright screens and intense stimulation when their brain needs gradual orientation to the day ahead.
Working with your natural energy means understanding the science of how your body and brain actually wake up. Your cortisol levels naturally rise in the morning to help you become alert, but this process takes time and can be supported or disrupted by your choices. Gentle movement, natural light exposure, and gradual increases in stimulation help this natural awakening process. Jumping immediately into intense activity or overwhelming information can create stress hormones that leave you feeling wired but not truly energized. Temperature regulation also plays a crucial role in natural energy management. Your body temperature naturally drops during sleep and gradually rises as you wake up. Simple practices like drinking warm water, taking a cool shower, or doing gentle movement can support this natural temperature transition and help you feel more naturally alert. The key is learning to distinguish between artificial stimulation and natural energy. Artificial stimulation through excessive caffeine, bright screens, or high-intensity activities can create temporary alertness, but often leads to crashes later in the day. Natural energy practices create sustainable vitality that maintains itself throughout the day without requiring constant stimulation. This doesn't mean avoiding caffeine or technology entirely. It means using them intelligently as part of a larger system that supports your natural energy rather than fighting against it. Maybe you have your coffee after some gentle movement and natural light exposure rather than immediately upon waking. Maybe you check messages after you've grounded yourself in your priorities rather than letting external demands set the tone for your day. Rhythm and ritual. The difference between a routine and a ritual is the quality of attention and intention you bring to it. Routines can become mechanical and mindless. Rituals are infused with meaning and awareness that transforms ordinary activities into opportunities for connection, reflection, and purposeful transition. Creating morning rituals, rather than just routines, helps solve one of the biggest challenges with morning practices. They can become boring or lose their power over time. When you approach your morning as a ritual, each element has significance beyond just its practical benefit. Maybe your morning coffee isn't just about caffeine. It's a moment to practice gratitude and set intentions for the day. Maybe your morning walk isn't just about exercise. It's time to connect with nature and let your intuition guide you toward clarity about your priorities. Maybe your morning journaling isn't just about productivity. It's a conversation with your deeper wisdom about how to navigate the day ahead. This ritual quality also creates what psychologists call state change, a clear psychological transition from sleep consciousness to active and purposeful engagement with the day. Without intentional state change, many people feel like they're sleepwalking through their mornings and never fully wake up to their potential. Effective morning rituals often include elements that engage different aspects of your being: physical movement that awakens your body, reflection or meditation that centers your mind, and connection to purpose that engages your spirit. This multidimensional approach creates more complete awakening than focusing on just one area. The key is finding rituals that feel authentic and meaningful to you, rather than copying what works for others. Your morning ritual might include music, art, reading, prayer, or any other activity that helps you transition from sleep to purposeful engagement with your life and goals. Environmental design. Your physical environment has tremendous influence on your ability to create successful mornings. Small changes in how you set up your space can eliminate friction, reduce decision fatigue, and make positive choices feel more natural and inevitable. Environmental design starts the night before. Preparing your physical space for morning success removes barriers that can derail your intentions when willpower is lower. This might mean laying out clothes, setting up your coffee maker, placing your journal and pen in a visible location, or charging devices in another room to reduce the temptation to immediately check messages. Lighting plays a crucial role in supporting your natural circadian rhythms and energy levels. Exposure to natural light in the morning helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle and can significantly improve your mood and alertness throughout the day. If natural light isn't available, light therapy devices can provide similar benefits. The visual environment also matters more than most people realize. Cluttered, chaotic spaces can create subconscious stress that makes it harder to feel centered and purposeful. Simple changes like making your bed, clearing surfaces, or adding elements of nature can create a sense of order and beauty that supports positive mental states. Consider creating a dedicated space for your morning practices, even if it's just a corner of a room. Having a consistent physical location for reflection, planning, or other morning activities helps train your brain to associate that space with focused, intentional activity. Sound environment is equally important. Maybe you need complete silence for reflection, or maybe gentle music or nature sounds help you feel more relaxed and open. Some people benefit from podcasts or audiobooks that inspire and educate them while they prepare for the day. The goal isn't to create a perfect environment, but to design your space in ways that support the person you want to become rather than the person you've been. Small environmental changes can have disproportionate impacts on your ability to maintain positive morning practices. Integration and flow. As these principles become integrated into your daily life, something profound begins to shift in your relationship with time, energy, and personal power. Mornings stop feeling like something you have to survive and start feeling like opportunities to connect with your highest potential and prepare to contribute your best to the world. You begin to notice that winning the morning isn't really about the morning at all. It's about developing the internal resources that make everything else more possible. The clarity you create in the morning influences the decisions you make throughout the day. The energy you cultivate early affects your ability to handle stress and challenges. The sense of purpose you connect with each morning guides your choices and priorities in ways that compound over time. Most importantly, you discover that consistency isn't about perfection. There will be mornings when you oversleep, when your routine gets disrupted, when life throws unexpected challenges your way. But when you've developed the principles of energy awareness, intentional design, progressive cultivation, and purposeful expression, you can adapt and flow with these variations rather than being derailed by them. You learn to measure success not just by whether you followed your routine perfectly, but by how quickly you can return to your center when things don't go as planned. You develop what I call morning resilience, the ability to create positive momentum regardless of circumstances. The transformation goes beyond productivity or achievement. When you consistently honor yourself through intentional mornings, you develop a deeper sense of self-respect and personal agency. You begin to trust yourself more fully, not because you become perfect, but because you've proven to yourself that you can show up with intention and purpose even when it's difficult. This self-trust radiates into every other area of your life. Relationships improve because you're showing up from a more centered, purposeful place. Work becomes more fulfilling because you're approaching it with clarity about your priorities and values. Challenges become more manageable because you've developed daily practices that build resilience and perspective. The ripple effect. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of winning the morning is how it creates positive ripples that extend far beyond your personal life. When you start your days with intention, awareness, and purposeful action, you become someone who naturally contributes to the energy and well-being of everyone around you.
People notice when you're consistently showing up as your best self. Your family experiences you as more present and patient. Your colleagues benefit from your clarity and positive energy. Your community gains from your increased capacity to contribute and serve. The positive momentum you create each morning doesn't just benefit you. It becomes a gift to everyone whose life intersects with yours. This is the deeper purpose of morning mastery, not just personal productivity or achievement, but becoming someone whose very presence elevates the energy and possibilities of any situation you enter. When you win the morning, you don't just win your day, you contribute to winning the day for everyone around you. The journey from chaotic mornings to natural morning mastery is ultimately a journey of stepping into your full potential and responsibility as a conscious, purposeful human being. It's about recognizing that how you start each day is how you start your life, and that you have tremendous power to influence not just your own experience, but the experience of your family, community, and world through the quality of presence and intention you bring to each new beginning. This is how winning the morning becomes winning at life, not through force or perfection, but through patient cultivation of the awareness, intention, and authentic action that naturally flows from understanding and honoring both your deepest aspirations and your most authentic design. When these come into alignment, mornings stop being something you have to conquer and become something that naturally serves the highest expression of who you're becoming and what you're here to contribute. The path is simple, but not easy, requiring the daily choice to show up for yourself with the same dedication you'd show up for someone you deeply love. But when you make this choice consistently, you discover that the person you've been looking for, the one who naturally lives with purpose, energy, and positive impact, was always there, waiting for you to create the conditions for their full emergence through the sacred opportunity of each new dawn.